Hello, it is Alex here, also known as Defaultsound, and welcome to the next tutorial in my vertex color series. Today we'll be finishing the flower bed by adding a little dirt patch in our area here where we put the flower bed wall. So to do this I'm going to add a cube. We'll just come into solid mode so I can see things a bit better. Then I'm just going to position this cube roughly over here. And then I'm going to turn my snapping on, put it in vertex mode, and basically we'll align this face with the plane here, and then delete that face because we're not going to see it, so that's now those vertices are aligned there. And then I'm going to align these vertices by selecting the top face and basically just mousing over one of the top vertices on the brick, and then this face will now be aligned with these top vertices here. We can then turn snapping off, and now I'm just going to manually grab the various axes here, or this face, drag it along the X, then select this face, drag it along the Y, like so, just bring it over here. And now for here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to hit E for extrude, snap it to the Y axis, and just bring it so it fills in this area here. And then I'm just going to select all the back faces towards the fence and just bring them over here as well. So to fill, right now we've got this corner poking out, so we're going to have to add some extra vertices to fit this corner correctly. But first I just want to lower this a bit because I've noticed it is a little bit higher than the brick, so I'm just going to bring this down a little bit like so. Looks a bit better. I'm going to go into vertex mode, and then I'm going to select these vertices and just bring them over here a bit. But as I've moved them back, we now have these this face showing. So I'm going to use a loop cut, Control R, and put that loop cut in there. Now as I extruded, it's added two new faces, so I'm going to delete those at the bottom again. Then come into vertex mode, and then I'm going to select these two vertices and just drag them up to fill the area completely. I'm then going to go back into textured mode. We're then going to go into vertex paint mode, and for this we're just going to fill it a solid brown color. So let's do something a little bit darker. Shift K, and there we go. We now have our soil put in our flower bed here, and then I'm just going to reset the pivot to the center of geometry using Shift Control Alt C. And I'm going to choose the origin to geometry, and that will just average all the geometry and put the pivot roughly in the center. Now one little extra thing I'm going to do to make this a bit more interesting is add little sort of soil piles over the top of this mesh. To do this I'm going to add a plane. I'm then going to go into edit mode, and what we're going to do is simply cut along our plane in two directions, like so. We're then going to select this middle vertice where we've made the two cuts, and I'm just going to bring it up a bit. Now, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to turn vertex snapping on, and I'm going to move these vertices just into the corners like so. So now we've got this pyramid shape that's more like the shape we want. However, we've only just moved these vertices to sit on top of one another. So a quick way to merge these vertices is to hit A to select all. We're then going to come into our side panel here on the left hand side, and we're going to click remove doubles. And what this will do is it will search for all the vertices that are exactly on top of one another and merge them together. So now we should have the correct amount of vertices. For this, we're going to also go back into vertex paint and fill it the brown color. What I'm also going to do is actually not mask, but actually have like a slight gradient effect on our soil. So I'm just going to increase the value here, maybe make it a bit more soily looking, and basically what I'm going to do is just click on the top here a little bit to give ourselves something like this, and I'm not quite happy with that value. Let's try that. Maybe something a bit more softer. Let's try that. There we go. So now we can scale this down, turn snapping off, scale this down, and we can basically move these on top of our little soil here, like so. And this will just add some interesting details for our soil flower bed here. Now, one thing to note is when you scale in object mode, if you look here in our right panel, you'll notice our scale is not exactly 1. And that's because we've scaled the object uniformly in object mode. Now we can accept that scale translation using the shortcut Control A. Hitting Control A will bring up this menu, and we can choose to apply the rotation and scale. So when I click this button, watch this panel over here, and you'll see these all jump to 1. So if I hit Control A and select rotation and scale, our scale now uniformly goes back to 1. Now if I rescale this, you'll notice that these values change again. Now it's good to note that you need to apply the scale, otherwise on export these values may conflict with the actual size of the object, because usually on export this will reset everything back to 1. So if you scale an object and you want to apply that scale, always use Control A to apply the rotation and scale. But once we're happy with that rough size, we can go along and just duplicate these randomly, just to give the effect of little piles of soil building up on our flower bed here. And once you're happy with that, you can place a few of them just to add some little details to our flower bed here. And yeah, that's it for this video. I hope that's helped you, and I'll see you in the next video where we will create some grass tufts to make our grass here look a bit more interesting.